Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is John Gardner with Owens Corning, National Training Leader here. And today I am joined with Ryan Groth. He's the founder of Sales Transformation Group, and we'll get in a little bit about Ryan. So first of all, how we doing? Good to see you.
Doing well.
Awesome. And so first of all, folks, thanks for joining today's webinar. Today's going to be awesome. We're going to talk a lot about how to really supercharge sales process and maybe understand a little bit more about the dynamics of a sales process and what that can do as far as impact. And so everybody's at a different place, or, we talk about this a lot, Ryan, when we're on the road, about how, depending on who the contractor is and where they are in their own journey, that sales process can look, in all different kind of ways. And today we're going to kind of share where Ryan has been and what he provides with the Sales Transformation Group, and some of the things that you've learned over the course of time in your company, Ryan, with regard to what sales process can do with impacting the business. So looking forward to that, but I want to spend just a minute here to kind of tee some stuff up. So first, a little bit about Ryan. Ryan has been working with Owens Corning over the past couple of years, and we have some shared contractors and shared partners that part of Owens Corning's contractor network, and of course they work with you, Ryan. So what I really found interesting about kind of how all of this came to fruition for you is just your own journey getting to the place that you are here today. And I think it helps tee up for our audience about what you offer and some of the things that you can share with us. So first of all, you were part of a family business that was in the roofing space and siding and windows, and really just the same thing that we're all dealing with, which is it's a family-run business, and you were second generation and looking at different ways to be able to build that business and bring it to the next level. And then during that process, you were successful, and then you kind of moved in and worked with another very large roofing manufacturer, roofing company, that you saw some things there with regard to sales process, and it enabled you to kind of take that own personal journey there. But even before all that, what was really cool is that you started out as a baseball player. So your biggest passion when you were younger was, I really want to take this to where I really can. And so you ended up in the minor leagues with the Angels, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And no matter what company it is, no matter what industry it is, no matter who we work for or the companies that we own, there is a huge parallel between sports and business. And what I mean by that is it's all about culture. It's all about, do people get the vision? Do they really truly understand where ownership wants to take it? Does ownership really understand the ways in which to empower those players to take it to the next level? And each person, you are an outfielder, each person really has their own way of adding value to the company. And in this case, to the team. And so, you as you ended up as the founder of Sales Transformation Group, you took a lot of what you learned and a lot of that personal experience as a professional baseball player, and saw those similarities and brought that into what you offer here today. And I thought that was really cool. And we talk about sports all the time, and we're really passionate about it. So, really cool history. You have been second generation in this business. You kind of had a passion to kind of take it to the next level. very successful right now with regard to, hundreds of clients across the United States who are working with you to try to see what they can do to help build out their own sales process. And so really appreciate you being here today to share with us, what you deliver for your clients and what you see big picture in this business. And as we always talk about, hey, look, there's so much opportunity in this business, and as a roofing contractor in the construction space, and companies like yours and the folks that work with you are just a testament to just how successful we can be. So anyway, thanks for being here, and look forward to today's webinar and sharing all the great things that you can help us out with. For the folks that are on today's webinar, remember, just type in any questions you have anytime during today's webinar in the Q&A space, and we're going to get to those questions later on, Ryan, and we'll see if we can answer some of those. But for now, welcome, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you can share with us today. And so let's get rocking and rolling.
Thank you. Appreciate it, John. It's an honor to be hanging out with the OC family. Everybody who works with you guys just says amazing things. So it's really cool to be able to do this with you guys right now and share with you guys what I believe is really hard to boil down just to 5 things. I could talk for days about growing sales and developing a sales organization, but I'm going to talk about 5 very important steps that we could take right now to get a cash cow retail sales organization. So I have the cash cow here because, y'all, I'm talking about just pumping that udder and pumping out cash. That is why we're doing this. And we're doing this so that we can help our families leave a legacy, have successful exits, potentially successful succession planning, successful impact to the community. This is why we're doing it. But I think retail is so powerful because there's a few reasons why I'm talking about retail right now. And retail is there's a major difference between insurance and retail. And I'm gonna just talk about retail and why retail, and get a pulse of how many of you guys are doing retail versus insurance versus like commercial, and get a sense of that. But why retail? Well, retail is always there. We're an essential business, thank God, hallelujah. And people are always going to need to repair and replace their homes and their buildings. And so we're in a great position. No matter what happens, it's always there. Where, you know what? The economy is going to dictate new construction's not always going to be there, but retail, relational, local connection to the homeowner is always going to be there. Okay. Storms will not always be there. I mean, I got my Denver clients. I love them. Bless their heart. They are 2 years out, 2 years of no storm activity. And so thank goodness they're adding commercial and adding some other elements and some retail sales upgrade potential and processes to make sure that they weather that quote unquote lack of there being a storm, because financially they feel that. Same with the guys in Texas and some throughout the Midwest. The Northeasterns and the Northwest, there's not as much of that as completely retail. My point is we need to always be thinking about retail and adding retail to our business. Strategically, it is huge. And there's a structural support system recommended and required to make this happen. So I'm going to talk about how we can shore that up today. A couple other things I like about retail is it sustains a local presence, right? You want to be located where you are and have connection and have your team members buy a home and have a mortgage and send their kids to the high school there and not feel like they're just having to travel all over the place or move around. You want to have that local brand. Many of you probably do have one to a degree, maybe have a couple of locations. But when you have a local brand, you have a local presence, you can create local careers. You create a career for people in this industry. This is the best industry. I love this industry. It's blue collar, hard work. You got to be humble. You got to work hard. But if you know the game of business, know the game of sales, know the game of vision and talent, recruiting and teamwork, you can just completely dominate your market and make more money and be able to help more people and get more talented people to help you grow your company, which is leadership teams. Okay. So as you as owners and leaders of the company, we got to dial in our sales organization around retail, especially for our OC contractors, so that we can really grow and keep our margins high. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, we grow communities and local brands or models for expanding. I did have a G in there. I think my cow is covering it. So we want to have a model that if you want to expand, you know that the retail is going to be the secure structure that's going to help you year over year, month over month. So this is important for you. Also, this is for you. This talk's really going to be for you if you're too reliant on storms, if your sales team struggles to sell value, add-ons and upgrades, okay? Sales team struggles to sell add-on and upgrades. I'm going to talk about how we can start to nip that in the bud and get to more of an add-on upgrade culture. Also, you're working with custom home builders more than you like to. Maybe the margins are low, right? So you're like, hey, I want to get into retail because I'm too reliant on either a storm or an insurance process or a custom home builder. We all know there's companies that have those GCs that quote unquote give them all their work, right? Well, that's not going to last forever, okay? You know that doesn't always last. It's cyclical. The economy is a very cyclical thing, and new construction is completely predicated on the economy, just like storm work is completely contingent on storm. Retail is not. Retail is going to be there. Repairs and replacements will be there. So we have to shore up our sales force to be able to create value in that environment on a regular basis and make that our core center of our business, so that we're going to continue to grow and be sustainable throughout hard times, because we all know they're going to come. Also, this is for you and you're in retail. You want to optimize. You want to take that decent player who's that C+, B-, B+ player. You want to make them an A+ player, and you want to start to create more A+ players on your team. So we're going to talk about that. And you know you're already trying to grow, but you know your sales team can be way better. Okay, this is for you if these are making sense. So I have a quick poll for you guys. Ballpark. What percentage of your business is retail in 2020? I say was, I mean, so far 2020, or non-insurance work. So go ahead and put it in there. Less than 25%. I want way more. 25 to 75 or 75 plus. We're ready to grow and we want more. So go ahead and put your answer there in the poll. That will be very helpful. And John, should we wait a second to let the results come, or should we look at the results later?
Yep. Let's give it a 30 seconds or so, just so everybody has a chance to answer the poll. And so it depends on where I go in the country. It answers the question of this, right? So if I'm in Denver, I see a lot more folks that are kind of focused on storm. If I'm in Connecticut, I see a lot of folks that are in the retail side, but kind of want to get into maybe dabble in the storm business. But one of the interesting parts about this question is, as I kind of share in all my webinars, is this really gives us an opportunity to who are the folks that are on today's webinar and what do they do, right? And this helps us shape out what our conversation is going to be here today. And so poll questions are awesome because we certainly can't see everybody that's on today's webinar, but this gives us a kind of a mental picture. So very cool. Yeah. So let's take a peek, Brian, and see what we got. Okay.
48.3% say we are doing less than 25%, and I want way more. That's good. This is going to be helpful for you. Yes, a third of you are right in the middle there, and 20% of you are already doing majority of retail, and you're trying to grow it. I love it. Great. More volume, more margin, more add-ons, more upgrades, more salespeople, more clients, more reviews, more case studies, more marketing, more dominance, more growth, more impact, all that. Love it. All right, cool. Thanks everybody for participating in that. That's helpful. So let's keep her moving, as they say in the Midwest.
You got it.
All right. So let's talk quickly about this kind of catch-22 of storms. Like you heard the double-edged sword, the catch-22. I mean, yes, storm comes. It's like fish in a barrel, right? Insurance covers it. Love it. Bing, bang, boom. Here's the problem with that, though. You get these sales guys conditioned to only have to be able to sell something that's $1,000. So they're truly not getting somebody to pay and see the value for a $25,000 roof. $30,000 roof. And what happens is, yes, they can do it, but they're kind of like ready to go all in, hunt, gather, bring it back, get some cash. But it's not sustainable, first off. But then the other problem is that these sales guys, they're not forced to get creative and learn how to build the true value and actually have the skill set to sell, which that's required in the retail space, okay? In retail, you're getting someone to see the value, pay out of their own wallet or finance some big money, okay, potentially. And to work with you, it ought to be big money because your quality and your customer experience is way better than the truck in a truck or the tank top Tommy, right? You call it that. You guys heard that language before. So that's not us. We're professional. So here's the deal. Storm hits, fish in a barrel, funded by insurance, fine. Well, now your salespeople are conditioned to sell $1,000 deals, not $25,000 deals. So now the gap of skills for retail to be successful, you don't have that skill gap. You're not closing that skill gap. So that's not really helping your retail sales occur once the storm ends. Okay, so now you're praying for a storm, you're doing a rain dance, right? If you're in that environment. My point is this. Even if you're doing retail now, your salespeople probably still stink at selling value and upgrading. Probably. I'm going to take a big wild guess and assume that they're probably not that awesome at it. You want them to do more. And so therefore, they're not as successful in the role as you'd like for them to be, or if the storm ends and they can't sell the retail, you have turnover, right? So they don't stay on, they don't succeed long-term, which isn't good. And then you have up and down revenues because, well, guess what? You're back there running leads again as the owner, and you've been doing the same thing you did when you started the company. And you're like, I don't want to be here, man. I don't want to be doing that. I love sales and I got to do it because I'm a winner and I'm going to survive and I care. But you're not taking that next level and becoming a sales organization where you have a team that's sustainable and reliable and predictable, okay? So there's a huge catch-22, double-edged sword with storms. Yes, you can make a bunch of money, but if you want to keep that model going, sustaining it, you got to go travel and move your family or be away from your family. I love my family, and that's why we're doing this. It's a challenge for me to witness some of these owners be away from their kids in high school or middle school for 6 months at a time. And so kind of getting to the heart of this, there's more reasons than just cash as to why we want to have retail in our business. And we got to create a sales organization around that. So, okay, I hope you guys are excited to continue to dive in with me. So a couple other things with retail. I like to cast vision and give some visuals so that you guys can kind of see with me where we're going and why. Even if you don't do what I tell you to do today, you're going to do something about this. Okay, I want you to see this. So here we go. Let's start on the left. This is actually our growth chart. I didn't give our numbers here, but this is us at STG growing, and this is exactly what it's like for my clients. Sales team can create value.
Hey, Ryan, maybe it's me, but I don't see that. I don't see that chart that you're referring to. So
this one,
there you go. That's what you're talking about, right? That's where you're digging into that right now.
See the one prior with the catch-22 slide?
Yep.
Was that there?
Yep.
All right. Thank you for that, John. Okay, cool.
You bet.
So here we are. Let's pretend that we fix this problem of a sales team that can actually sell value, hold the margins you want, not have to be low, but not price gouge either, right? And margins are up. They're selling add-ons, they're selling upgrades, they're closing deals, okay? So now what happens is the deal sizes increase. You can invest in the brand, you can invest into ads, you can invest into more. You're winning, you're hiring more crews, you're investing into a leadership team. Great. Now you can diversify your offers. If you can sustain a retail side, you can diversify your offers and sell more of the same retail level value, okay, but a different product, okay? So clearly OC, we're going to sell a lot of the best product they have, okay? That's what we're going to do. And we're going to keep training and coaching. Then, because of that, you're able to hire talent into a winning environment. Now, why is that important? Let me just give you a for instance, okay? I was a high school and college prospect, okay? I got drafted by the Angels, as I shared, but while I was being recruited from the junior college years to the Division I or Division II 4-year school, I had different options, okay? And a Division III, a Division II, some Division I. I went to a good Division I. It's not like an SEC Big Ten school, but it was ranked in the top 25 the year I was recruited. So it was pretty good. We had 9 guys get drafted the year before, and 9 guys got drafted the year I was there. And so for somebody like me, imagine there's talent. Roofing industry is this industry, baseball is this industry. I wanted to go to a school that was already producing people that were like where I wanted to be. I want to be at least in the minor leagues, make it to the big leagues, and be successful, okay? Guess what happened when I went to the Division II program? They had like 1 guy that got drafted in like 15 years, right? And their facilities weren't that great, and they didn't have a lot of, they didn't invest in coaching their team. And you know what? I'm like, is this the ticket that's going to get me to the big leagues? Probably not. So I kind of just wrote off D2 altogether and said D1's going to be where I go. And so I looked at this school. They brought me on a tour. The facilities were great. The weight room was there. The brand was aligned. It was clean. Everyone was wearing the right clothes. They had branded uniforms, branded shirts, shorts, gear, bang, bang, boom. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is a team of winners. I'm going to be successful here. I came in, hit 350, got first team all conference, got drafted, and I was one of 9 guys. Did I make it to the big leagues? No. However, if I would have stayed another year, I probably would have gotten a lot better and made it a little bit longer toward the big league journey. My point is this: when you've invested into your ecosystem, you've trained, invested in the team, and they're now winning, I could promise you this: you can bring somebody who's a finance degree major or somebody who's a real winner who's going to go in the corporate world but decided to go with you because your vision, your opportunity as a sales organization of winners, using software, using technology, training and coaching, investing into coaches. When you do this stuff, you will change the game. These people will come in, a 25, 28, 30, 35-year-old, high integrity, great communicator, relational. You could send them out and not be worried about anything. Are they going to do you wrong? Are they going to smell like smoke? Are they going to show up with trash falling out of their truck? None of those even are on the table when you have an attractive environment and winners are there. Let me give you one more, for instance. Post-baseball, I was doing some coaching and stuff, trying to navigate what to do, got some mentors. And on the way to the roofing company that I met and started working with, I got with a concrete restoration contractor. Okay, so this is the story. All right, imagine 24-year-old Ryan Groth, all right, about to get married, ready to make some coin, ready to make a difference, ready to be challenged. Guess what? I show up working with this concrete restoration contractor, doing ride-alongs with the guy. I'm wearing a tie and a button-down. I'm here to win, right? I'm here to be successful. Next thing you know, he's like, hey, you don't need to dress like that, man. It's cool. No client agreement, no employee agreement, no goals, nothing. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, we're going to sell. It's like, okay, you got any software? Nope. Who do we work with? Can you go to the property managers in South Florida and start making a list? So I was like, okay, I've started making a list. I'm making a spreadsheet list. And I'm like ready to start making calls to set appointments. And then he goes, well, you really should learn the industry. Why don't you be a project manager and support the project managers now and learn and ride along? So I'm riding along with this guy named Roy. He's just Roy. He's rude. The guys in the field hate him because he's always on him. And I'm driving around with Roy learning nothing, okay? And then another 2 weeks later, like, you should learn how to put the stuff onto the building. So now I'm like, we're doing labor, which I'm not above it, but listen, I'm already past, like, I'm ready to grow. But this is a common deal in the contracting space. High performers can't come in and say, I'm ready to go do something and grow with you because you guys don't have the ecosystem in place. You don't have any of that set up. Until I met Greg, and he's doing 60 million in South Florida. He did a test on me beforehand, a formal interview process, had me sign an employment agreement with with what my expectations were. He gave me a cell phone and an iPad, and I just felt like, cool, I can grow. My point is this, guys: when you have gotten your deal sizes up and you have enough momentum, you can afford to do these things. And then when you have that first cohort upgraded 2 or 3 times, now your business is on track. Okay, I'm living proof of what could happen in this industry if you guys create really good sales organizations. And I want to see you guys dragging people from technology and healthcare and dragging people away and working with you, because this industry is awesome. All right. So then
you bring up a good point there, Ryan, if I could jump in there, because you and I talked about this. We have kicking this thing around, which is that when we look at the roofing industry, we tend to see employees that'll go from one roofing company to another roofing company. And that's great, because there's some consistency there. There's understanding of the industry. But there's this whole other platform known as, just the competitive environment, and, pulling people from, like you said, the technology, from, any other type of industry where these folks can certainly add value, right? But what you're describing here is there has to be an incentive. There has to be the culture. There has to be, that certain level up where folks from outside the roofing industry are willing to take the chance. Because, when somebody looks at the roofing industry, they're saying, well, technology, or do I go into the roofing space? And it's more than just a job. There has to be like that certain feeling inside that's saying, like, wow, this is a great fit, and I have an opportunity for growth and advancement. It's, we're looking at so many great opportunities to find people. You have to be able to, first of all, get them interested, and number two, keep them interested, and make sure that they've got legs, and they're going to stick with the company for years. And so I think we're doing a lot better in the last 10 to 15 years, but there's so much opportunity out there. So that's what you're getting at.
Yeah. I mean, people are getting furloughed right now. I mean, gosh, this is the time to be capitalizing and bringing in winners to come and be a part of what we're doing. So if we can assemble the right environment quickly and have the right tools, stand it up, get momentum, a lot of fun. This is the best time to be in the business right now, guys. This is a good place to be. All right. I know we only have 32 minutes, maybe less, so I'm going to buzz through some stuff. You guys good with that? You good, John?
I'm good.
All right. So here's what we're going to cover quickly. One is how to identify A-plus players to make them twice as effective, and then recruit and onboard more talent, good or better than them, why it is better than recruiting a bunch of warm bodies that will either sink or swim. So we talked about that a little bit. I'm going to touch on a couple things there. Then we're going to talk about how to make your A players twice as effective. And then we're also going to talk about a funnel. I'm going to be brief there, because these are all I could talk about these all for a couple hours a pop. Okay. Step 4, I'm going to talk about how to manage and measure prospecting and relational selling versus door knocking. I think that's the lowest hanging fruit, and something our core higher level people should be doing. And then door knocking, I think, should be almost like a minor league system or a junior varsity environment unto a relational higher level sale. Okay. Because I think they're two different skill sets, and you just don't have time to do both of them all the time once you get enough cooking. And then also how to hold your value with a good sales process. So this right here, I have 2 examples of a way to identify holes in your sales game. The one on the left is what we call a sales evaluation. When our clients who become clients, I see a couple names in here. I don't want to shout it out, but I see a couple of you guys. You're getting your own sales evaluations now. And what we do, it's like a really deep roof analysis. It's like an MRI for your salesperson. Okay, imagine doing an MRI and then saying, here are our findings. Okay, based on how you think and what your belief systems are and what your skill sets are, this is how good you are compared to the best on the planet. Here's where you're weak. Here's where you're serviceable. Here's where you're strong. And here's exactly what we could do to solve that. Most of it comes down to drive, commitment, and mindset. I can tell you right now that if somebody has a poor mindset, I could give them the best sales process in the world, and they're going to freeze up. They're going to struggle. Okay. So what we want to do, what I want you guys to do, is find a tool, whether with us or somebody else. I have this sample scouting report, which is an objective, opinionated version of the one on the left. And if you guys want that, John, I'm going to make sure he has that PDF, and you guys can give it a whack. I have all the examples here on the back of how it looks. My point is, we do an objective analysis. All right, take somebody who thinks he's hot stuff, okay? Give him one of these And now he's like, wow, I got a lot of work to do. How would you like for your guy who thinks he's a big fish in a small pond to say, man, I have a lot of work to do. I need to get better. As an industry standard, I'm not that good. I need to work on my game. And then now your standard just went high versus the guy who's really a C+ guy. And your company is like the man, the myth, the legend. How about this? How about we just show that high school prospect how good he is compared to the big leagues and really see where you guys stack up? We love to do that because now everyone's like, okay, cool. This is a tough thing to swallow, but we want to get better. So then they're motivated to move. So whether it's with us or somebody else, get an objective tool on sales abilities. Don't do a DISC assessment or Myers-Briggs and Enneagram. Those are all great, but they're not good for developing and predicting sales ability. Okay. So that's step one. Get that thing cooking. If you guys want that, go ahead and, reach out to us or ask John at OC. I'm going to make sure you guys have the PDF on the right. If you want the one on the left, you got to become a customer. So, and that's something that we can talk about later. All right. Next thing is step 2, sales training and coaching. So how long should we train and coach? How much? Why? What about the old dogs? Okay. I'm just going to talk higher level on this. You guys ought to be sales training and coaching, getting outside help as much as you possibly can, whether with me or some other sales trainers out there. And I can tell you too that if you're not getting outside help to get you in the game and the mindset of coaching, you're really missing out. I mean, we're talking about doubling, tripling, quadrupling a team's effectiveness with the coaching and training that you can provide. Thirdly, I also want to encourage you to believe that your best bet of becoming the best on the planet that you can is to start to have these coaches come into the sales leader's mind, and that sales leader becomes the internal super coach for your company. And it's always good to bring in outside voices. And I like to say this: eat the chicken, spit out the bones. Okay. You don't have to just find one coach and be married for life, unless you get that much value that over that long of a time. Be an organization that likes to consume good training, consume good coaching on a regular basis. Because just like a sports team, if you're not constantly working on your craft and where your fundamentals are so good it's like boring, then you're not ready. Okay, you got to, like the best on the planet, do the fundamentals so well it's almost boring. But then it's not, because it's a thing of beauty watching them just crush. Okay. I want you guys to envision your sales organization like as if you're a Division I college program in sports or a major league professional organization. You're drafting talent in, you have standards, coaching and development and scorecards, and you're trying to make that starting lineup as dangerous as possible. And you're always creating an environment where people want to be on that team. So you have to continue to train and coach and have an environment of growth, or else that won't happen. Also, you're not going to keep high performers very long because they're going to get bored, because they're going to just, if they're like me, you kind of create this big fish, small pond. And I don't want to be the best in my space for long. I want to feel like I'm weak around others. I need to know that there's someone that can make me better, or else I'm going to get tapped. My brain's going to lose interest. I need to be challenged. And most salespeople, really good salespeople, feel the same way. And then guess what? They're going to want to rise up to that challenge and rise up again and rise up again. And next thing you know, you're dealing with like an absolute monster, and they're on your team, and you're just like, whew, this is cool. And then guess what? You have a case study when you're recruiting people in and say, hey, John, he went from here to here to here to here, and he's a product of our culture. And there's guys like John, you can be like John. Okay. So that's something we talk about often, is creating case studies in your own sales force for recruits, because what they're doing is like me when I went to ORU. Oh, that guy was an All-American, he got drafted. That guy was all conference, he got drafted. I'm looking at those guys saying, hey, how good was he? Tell me how his BP went. I want to be like those guys, because those guys are already on their way to the pros. So that's the same with your salespeople, guys. Same thing. Create success stories with your talent. Challenge the snot out of them. Push them, push them, push them. Put them on retreats. Send them out. Go to conferences. Buy the courses. And you won't be looking back. Okay? So any comments there, John?
No, I think you mentioned the download for that PDF.
Yeah.
And I'm double checking, but I think I put that up on the front end of the webinar for the attendees. So you should see a reference resource section there, folks, on today's webinar, and you can just download a copy of that right there. So real quick on that piece there, is that both the image that you have on the left-hand side and the right-hand side that you just showed us there, Ryan, those are, are they both available, or is one automated? So the one on the left, that's obviously a little bit more complex than the one on the right.
One on the left is this is actually a cover page of a 26-page report. We actually, if you become a customer of Sales Transformation Group, your team is required to go through that process. The one on the right is one that I made as kind of a do-it-yourself, but it's more objective as a way to kind of create a good exercise for your team if you want to do it. Then that's for free today.
I got you. Okay. So obviously there's a lot more into the one on the left with regard to you've got to set what the standards are. And so ownership is going to be able to say, okay, what is good, what is great, and you put all the benchmarks in, and so there's something that you can consistently measure up against. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so fun. I can tell you, I wish I was playing baseball and somebody gave me a tool that showed me exactly what I'm weak at compared to the best on the planet, right? It's all an opinion.
Well, they do now.
When I was playing, it didn't.
Now they're all wearing these crazy, all sensors on their bodies now. That's kind of like, that's an equivalent of that, right? So
it would be like that for sales. And it's exactly when I went through it, I was already pretty well trained, but exposed some major holes. I immediately fixed them and my game doubled. It's amazing, guys. So there's something powerful about facilitating standards and exposing the weaknesses and not worrying about getting somebody's feelings hurt. Because at the end of the day, if you guys have a huge cultural problem if you guys can't give each other real honest feedback.
Yeah.
Right?
And I know we want to move forward here with our next poll question here, but there's two things that are going on. One is you want to get the best out of your salesperson. I know, folks, we're not going to be able to answer every question, and we're just kind of touching the surface of this. And we'll have Ryan back for part 2, where we're going to dig into the next level of what we're talking about here today. But there's two things going on here. One is, hey, get the best out of our salesperson. And so that obviously for obvious reasons, right? We want them to produce. We want them to sell more product at a profitable level. But the other part too is, and I'm referencing the two PDFs that you have here, the 2 images, and many times it's such a huge frustration level for ownership of companies to be like, what is going on here? Why is this person not selling product? And why are they not really engaged in the organization? And so as an owner, when you have some resources and references, and I'm really thinking about the image on the left-hand side here, which is as an owner, the frustration levels are gone, and you have actionable items to be able to get that person into a better place. It kind of takes away all that stuff that the what ifs and the whys and how comes. You now have resources to be able to level up or level out. Either way, you're going to make, actionable steps to get that organization better. So good stuff. Dude. Let's jump into our next poll. And this one here is, hey, we just want to find out, folks, what's your sales training and coaching culture as it stands today? So look, tell us what it's all about for you. Ride-alongs? Are you doing ride-alongs? Gone to some seminars, worked some outside help, meaning you brought some folks in to kind of shape out what your sales process might be, or you're very growth-minded and you're at a level where you think you're challenging yourself. So we'd love to learn a little bit more about where you're at, and just tell us exactly where you're at here today. And again, that gives us an opportunity to understand what's happening with you. I would imagine you see all different levels here, Ryan, right? When you come to kind of working with companies from the very, you start out with organizations, they're all different levels, and people are in different levels too.
Yep, different levels. Let's give it a few more minutes here, or seconds rather. Which one are you? Pick one of the 4.
Let's take a look. Let's see what we got.
All right, let's see what we got. Wait, okay. Oh, hold on. Wait, I'm on the wrong one. There? Good Lord. Describe your sales culture as it is today. And then
okay, so maybe,
did we do this, John? I think I put the question after the,
okay. Yeah, sure did. Yep.
So now we need to wait a second or two, right? This is correct.
Wait a second or two. People couldn't answer the question. All right. So, folks, the answers were before the question. So, in this, just take a second here and re-answer that poll for us, and then we'll just go backwards.
They're like trying to push something. There was nothing to push. So,
yeah, let's see.
I'm sure our Q&A and our chat is blown up a little bit, right?
It is. And people say I can't answer the question, but they can now. Just pick it out, and we'll jump back there.
Thank you, guys. Okay. All right. Good. I think if you guys are on this webinar, you're probably done. Well, here we are. 28% ride-alongs with me. It's about all they get. 42 is, we've gone to a seminar too. We know we can do better. That is a great admission, guys, because let me tell you, just tasting a little bit is one thing, but making it part of who you are and what your company does, that is another thing. And that's a huge corner. If you've done that and you've been this successful, imagine what 2021 is going to be like. And yeah, about 10% of you guys have gotten some outside help. Y'all, this is good. And then what we really want to be is on the bottom, where we're already very growth minded. We bring in coaches regularly, optimize our team. This is why we're great. We pride ourselves on this. So I'm hopeful that after today, you guys are everybody's going to be down to the bottom. We're moving this thing along, and your company's going to grow. Thanks for sharing, guys. All right, shall we continue?
Sir.
Cool. So step 3, ads and funnel. I'm going to talk about this for 30 seconds. Once your team is going and you're strong, and I'm going to talk about the next thing shortly, it's really important to know that in residential retail, you can actually scale with ads as well. You can get questionnaires filled out and get a cost per, have an idea of the audience, and actually track how much you're getting from ads. So I'll talk about this on another level, another time. We don't have time today. I think we're running short. So here's one I really want to touch on. A culture of relational prospecting excellence. I talked about this before, but when you have high performers who know how to build relationships and get communities together and they're married, I mean, they're connected to relationships and life on a pretty good level here. You guys, people buy from people. And so here's a couple of things I want you to know. 91% of prospects say they give a referral if they were asked, but only 11% of salespeople ask for referrals. Leads from referrals and introductions, they close at a 50% rate, and they close in half the speed, which means double the sales cycle, faster, which is huge, a lever. If you pulled that lever, that was huge. And then you improve your closing ratio, huge. So that's like quadruple the outcome over a longer period of time if you guys were in a more relational prospecting environment. So here's some KPIs you can manage, okay? KPIs, right? Referrals generated by salespeople. So the salespeople ask, who do you know? They get an introduction to their neighbor. Like, I'm not talking you knock on the door. I'm saying Sammy said to the neighbor, hey, Susie, you need to meet John with Owens Corning Contracting, and you need to talk to them. These guys are doing a great job. So you guys get referrals like that. That's a KPI that I guarantee you for every 10 referrals and introductions you get, 7 out of 10 are going to show up, and 4 out of those 7 are going to buy, okay? Reviews gathered. If you guys can proactively get reviews, I know there's some tools out there to automate that. I'm actually exploring how we can leverage more of that, but get the reviews. The salespeople are the ones who built the trust and got the deal done. 65% of the customer experience for anybody on a larger scale comes from what happened during the sales process. So much of what they remember is what they remember during the sales process. So let's use that time. Let's leverage that salesperson's success and get the reviews and measure that. Also, iPhone videos is social proof. Why is this powerful? Man, you can use it for ads, videos, automated messages, getting trust built. I mean, imagine getting like a celebrity in your town who did a roof with you, and you guys are okay with like just movers and shakers in your city to get them to say, hey, we did so-and-so, our roof with so-and-so did a great job. If you guys get videos and you manage and measure those, you guys will have overwhelming social proof, and your market's just going to say, man, everybody's using them. They must be great. Okay. And then also networking at the highest end of the market. Where do the rich people hang out who want to spend and spare no expense on making sure they take care of their home? That's where the margins are. Okay. That's where the relationships are. They're the ones who are saying, hey, you got to talk with my doctor or my lawyer. They're the ones who are saying, you need to buy from my buddy. He's an entrepreneur. He owns this company. And you want to get into those circles, not because you're trying to be some kind of elite person and you feel like that'll make you cooler or something. It's just logic. It's math. Hang out with people who are your best client, and then get referrals from those people, and it's pretty common sense. Okay, so those are the KPIs to manage. Very, very important. All right. Also, step 5: hold your value. I talk about this. The fastest way to grow your margin or your business is to have high margins. Okay. With retail, you can sell high margin repairs. I'm like, oof, nice high margin repairs. And if you do them right, repair their roof, which I know is a longer term play, I guarantee you 75% of the time, those people are going to buy from you if you are organized and you follow up. Add-ons and upgrades also increase deal sizes and margins. We're big on what's called a milestone-centric sales process that supports selling value. I'll explain shortly as we wrap up. And you guys are not salespeople, you're consultants. You're consultants. If you view yourself as a home consultant, then you have this equal business stature versus I'm trying to sell you something. So now you're actually going to be more of a consultant, because consultants ask good, great, and tough questions, and consultants build value. So I'm going to share with you. This is a little small for me. I know all these by heart, and I actually got to make this image a little bigger. But John, is this visible for you? Can you see it okay? Or for the audience here? Okay. So we use the baseball diamond in our sales process. We call it baseline selling. So you start at home, call comes in, or you generate a call, you have an issue identified, you schedule an appointment, they're a suspect. Then what we teach is that when you're on first base, we call it, you have that meeting, that initial engagement. That even can be a Zoom call, by the way, which I'm completely cool with the way today's world is. They have a need, right? But then what you want to do is be consultative and find out their compelling reason to get that need. Where's the emotional driver for that? And then what we call SOB quality is speed on base. Long story short, it's differentiation factor, okay? And then we want to quantify that by finding out what's the impact financially, or just kind of what's the ramifications for them if they don't do it right the first time, or if they go cheap, or they go with a low bid, or somebody cuts corners, things like that. So what we do is on the way to first to second base is really when we kind of create that emotional gap from here we are, here's where we want to be, and here's kind of the reasons why they want to be there. So now they're vested, they're connected, they're expressing some pain or some crazy great desire, and there's an urgency factor that you guys are now managing and attention. It's like music, a violin. It's like you can make music when there's tension. You're creating some tension, right? You're not just showing up. Okay, let me back up. You're creating tension. Now that you have tension, you're making sure that it's really qualified to do business with you. Are they committed to do it right? They're okay paying a little bit more. Do they want add-ons and upgrades, things like that? Are you with both decision makers? Is that something you're there? And is there anything else you need to know in terms of what they care about before they make a decision? Because you may or may not be the only game in town. Likelihood is you're not. We find that out before we give them the price so that we have more leverage. And then we estimate, present, and close. Here's what most of us do. We go from first right to third. We have an appointment, and then we go right to third base. We do our takeoff, estimate, present, and close. And so what happens is all of the stuff up top doesn't get done. All the actual real selling doesn't get done. All the real value building doesn't get done. All the real trust building doesn't get done. And what happens is you go up and you just try to sell them something. You don't really engage. They don't feel understood. They don't feel heard. They don't feel helped. Feel sold to potentially. That could be an impact there. And then there's really not as much connection to the solution because they didn't invest, because you didn't extract anything from them. And then at the end of the day, you're pretty much getting to think it over, or maybe you're trying to hard close them and discount your way to the close, which isn't good either. So we're big on milestones. Okay, so we have milestones that we map out. We give you some of those if you work with us to guide you to have those milestones. And if your salespeople know, I don't have a script per se to follow, but I have milestones to hit, then their natural talent can take over, their connection and their ability to be consultative takes over, and everything's pretty good. So that is what we teach in baseline selling. So let's go ahead and do a poll right now. Do you have a defined sales process and a playbook? What I mean by playbook is you have a process and then you have a internal playbook that shows your salespeople, hey, here's how we use the OC this, and here's our the shingles and why we sell this shingle, and all the internal languaging of your company. Do you have a playbook for your salespeople to go through when they join you as a new salesperson, to have a source of truth, a Bible, so to speak, where they know this is where all the standards are set? Do you have one? Do you have a formal sales process? A, it's about as loose as a cannon in the Caribbean. B, it could be, yes, of course, it's in my brain. Of course, I have it. It's up here. Duh. Thirdly, sort of, needs updating. And lastly, we want to make it better always. Let's give you 5 seconds to answer that question, John.
Yeah, I just touching on the sales process. So one of the things that comes to mind here with the sales process, and anything that's anything that has a process built into it has a higher level of success, right?
Yeah.
That the same goes here. So what comes to mind is just some significant amount of accountability with regard to the salesperson. It also reduces the frustration of the sales folks, attrition, right? And retaining awesome talent. And we kind of talked about it in the very beginning here, but the sales process is, it's obviously good for the salesperson, but it's also good for managing the, what's going right, what's going wrong. And this, I think what you're saying here, Ryan, is with regard to that process, it goes all the way back to the slide that reviewed, hey, how are we doing? How are we performing against the sales? How are you performing against, the sales process? And are you delivering what you're delivering? So those two pieces kind of go together in what you do and what you teach, correct?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. These are the two of the major components of what we teach, for sure. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. Let's see what we got.
Dun, dun, dun. Drum roll.
Drum roll.
Cool. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. Good. Cool. I'm guessing if you're in the top, you're about a $1 to $2.5 million company, and you're doing okay, and you're probably making good money, but you're running all the leads yourself. All right. Same with the second one. You may have 2 or 3 salespeople. I guarantee you, if you're on the third or fourth, you have a sales team and probably a sales manager if you're on the bottom. So kudos to you guys. And let me tell you, there's so much room to improve. That's the crazy fun part about all this. So thanks for answering that, guys. Okay. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do that. I also want to just touch on some questions and that the audience has had here too, to give you a chance to answer those.
Sure.
So
that's it. I'm there. I'm good to answer. But really, all you need to do is get an objective sales evaluation, set a higher standard, create a culture of growth, concentrating and coaching, pull the levers with ads and funnel, know your numbers and pull those levers too. Relational prospecting excellence, I talked about that. And then sell high margin work, repairs, install a consultative approach, milestone centric sales process to support the sale of value. And of course, short sales cycles, right? Okay. Thank you. Any questions? I'm here.
Yeah. A few of them came up that are similar. And it really has to do with organizations that are smaller in size. So the question that came in from Aaron was, what do you do when the company's just me, the owner, and 5 sales guys? I'm terrible at training. Listen, he's throwing it out there, and he's not like anybody else. He's like a lot like everybody else, right? In terms of, it's not a process in place. So what do they do if they can't afford hiring a company like you? What is the next logical step to kind of bring some sort of sales process in place?
Well, first off, I'll say you can't afford not to, because your opportunity cost is far greater in like 2 week period of what you would pay for a whole year of somebody like me. I'm just sharing, like what you're missing out on, but not doing this, the opportunity cost far exceeds the investment. Okay. So that's one step I'll share. But secondly, I would just start, like, if I had nothing, I would just buy some books. I'd buy a few books. There's a few that I could recommend. And then start watching sales videos on YouTube, something free. Okay. And I would train as frequently as possible every day until a winner emerges, right? Until like a leader emerges with that team. Like, cultivate that stuff until, like, out of the minds and hearts of one of your leaders comes this fruit. You're like, man, this guy's, they're drinking. It's like they're drinking the Kool-Aid, man. They're buying in, they're growing. What happens is now they're going to be demonstrating the change, and then you should facilitate some outside help, of course, and really invest in them to be the sales leader of the company. Yeah, but they're not going to know because you don't know.
Yeah. What comes to mind there is that any costs that you associate with the build out of your gross sales is really it's built into what you're forecasting for sales at the end of the year, right? So if it's, let's just throw a number. If it's $1,000, I'm just using it as a number. It's $1,000 more than I'm going to spend. So I'm going to build out what I think I'm going to be able to bring to the table. So it's not like it's a sunk cost. You're obviously going to be looking for additional sales, right? So, and along that with margin. So it's a continuation of the journey of growth. So I do agree with you. If you do reach a plateau, if you do reach a kind of a brick wall in your growth, and you just can't take it any farther, it's time to bring in perhaps, the experts of sorts that can help you take it to the next level. And you kind of dive into it the level that you're comfortable with. But I think that, that's smart there. With regard to just a real simple question here, like, what's a KPI? We had some folks that asked that question. Three folks asked the question is, what's KPI? So what is that?
It's a key performance indicator. So a key performance indicator is something that you can measure, I would say, weekly. You need to measure on a weekly basis how many of a thing did a salesperson do. Okay, so if they did, I could tell you right now, like, if I did one proposal a week, would I hit a number of doing 20 deals a month? No, right? So what I do know is that my closing ratio is somewhere about 30%, and I want to close 20 deals a month. How many proposals do you think I need to be getting out a month?
Mm-hmm. And that's just the kind of the beginning. That's right. That's just the start. But you get deep into getting KPIs.
The prospecting, relational prospecting. When you start to get guys, every time they do a deal, they get 3 or 4 introductions, a referral, and a review. That's just going to funnel back into your organization on a marketing level so much more. So, yeah. And by the way, back to the other question. When you invest, don't look at a cost for sales training. Look at it as an investment, because when you're embedding a mindset, energy, and systems into something, you're going to see an incredible ROI. So look at how much am I going to get back? Is this going to fix a hole? And if that's fixed, what's going to be the outcome? That's the way you should view outside help. And then eventually, when there's enough people inside who've received from the outside help and they're really, really good, you're just going to honestly keep wanting more. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm spending just for my own company alone $100,000 just in outside help to fix and solve problems, because my brain isn't coming up with those things alone. I need other people. Right. But once their brain is in my brain and in my company, there's going to be an ROI forever until I change it. Right. So it's just something to think about. Yeah.
Yep. Totally get it. So you've got some really cool tools, and we can only touch on just a few of them in the course of an hour, right? It's just a kind of a real quick overview, and it's too bad that we don't have more time, but like I said, we'll get you back in a part 2. But in the meantime, if anybody on today's webinar is interested in just learning about and want to talk to Ryan a little bit more about your own sales process and maybe dig into it a little bit more, and Ryan's, he'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Just click yes or no. And that's what we're here for, to provide some help. to our contractors, and we'll be sure and have Ryan get back to you. And it looks like about half the folks, so that's cool. And then secondly is if you're interested in those PDFs that Ryan talked about earlier on, then just in the Q&A, just type in, yes, I want those PDFs. I apologize. Those should have been loaded up as a resource for you to download. They weren't, but we're going to get those off to you right now. And those numbers are coming in real time. I feel like we're in like a poll here, Ryan, right? It's the national poll. And right now we're at 54%. So
exactly.
I don't know. It's a strange, 2020 is a strange year. So and the polls coming in.
Definitely.
So listen, we're just about out of time here. And Ryan, we're going to have you back in Q1 of next year, and we're going to dig in a little bit more detail about the sales process and answer some more questions. In the meantime, for the folks that are joining today's webinar, really appreciate you being here today. And you can see these numbers here. They continue to change as Ryan goes back and forth, and that's great. Glad we can help you. If you have any additional questions right now that Ryan can ask or answer for you, just type them in the Q&A. We'll get them to you. And always, thank you so much for all your support, Ryan. You've been great. We learned a lot today about the sales process. There's so much more to dig into. We look forward to the next webinar. In the meantime, wish everybody a great day. We'll talk to you next week in our next webinar. And Ryan, thanks again for everything that you shared with us today.
My pleasure. Glad to be here. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
You got it. See y'all.